Hi friends, it's Becky and I'm going to be sharing some of the bead bundles that went up for sale last weekend at Bead Box Bargains. That is the sister site for the Bargain Bead Box bead subscription. They sell closeout beads, findings, gemstones at really decent prices. And as a subscriber, you get a 30% off coupon that you can get even lower prices for some of these things. And they usually will do some sort of promotion where they take some of the beads that go really well together and they'll put them in a bundle, and it will be at a discounted price again that you can still use your 30% off coupon for. And I guess they were just feeling really wintry, Christmassy vibes because last weekend we got this icy bundle. Let me get the exact name of that. That's the which bundle was this? Snow Angel value bundle. And so I'm going to be organizing that into an organizer with y'all today. But there were also these other little smaller value bundles like this 'Tis the Season Glass and Crystal Strand Mix, some Cozy Christmas bead and pendant mix, the Deck the Halls crystal bead mix and pendant, and then a variety of charms. This is the movie night charm bundle. So I'm gonna go through all of these. We'll take a look at these. We'll do the Christmassy stuff first, and then we'll do the wintry stuff second, just so that we have some space on the mat for all of these. And let's start with our charms because they are very charming. This is the movie night bundle. I am going to be organizing it in my organizer. I have several organizers that are full of Christmassy type or flavored beads and pendants and things like this. So this is going to go with them. But at the end of this, I think I might also do a little bit of a design on the fly with y'all to see what I'm inspired by, whether it's from this one or the other bundle. But let's get these guys all out here. And there is a number here, this Find 5269. If it's still available for purchase, each individual item, because while the bundle may be sold out, some of the items may still be available at the site. You can usually find it by plugging it into the search up at the top of that site, and I will link to the site in the description below. Or if you type Beadbox Bargains space quotation mark this number, end quotation mark, because you have to bracket it, into Google, it will pull up the product page even if it's been archived. So that's just a little tip for finding stuff and seeing if you can find them there. Usually though, if they're still available, you can find them on the site just using the search menu for this sort of thing. So let's take a look at our charms. The first one is our popcorn bowl charm. This is the movie night. So I don't know if you guys are into Hallmark movies, the classic Christmas movies. I love a cheesy, romantic Christmas movie. They are unrealistic and silly and wonderful, and I love them for that. This one is Find 5268. And I've got one of them turned around so you can see the back, and the other one turned up so that you can see the front. And I love these little popcorn charms. They are super cute. I was thinking about taking some of these other beads and doing a charm bracelet with these guys. So we'll see if we get around to those eventually. But then we've got a snuggle charm. Which one is that? Is this it? 5269. That's that number. Oh, yep. It says snuggle right on it. And that is the back. And then we've got a movie night, or the hot cocoa mugs. Where are our hot cocoa mugs? That's these ones here. Oh, I love that there's some sparkle and glitter on this. in the enamel on this hot cocoa mug charm. Those are super cute. That's a fantastic detail to add to that. And you know what? I forgot to show you the number on that. That's 5270. Next, we've got 5271. And that is the movie night one because it actually says right on there, movie night. I love that. I actually just set up, that's 5271. I just set up in my guest room a projector screen. It's one that you can take down and put up so that we can sit on the day bed and the other sofa that's in there and have movie night in that room. We can close the doors and block out the window and have a nice dark area for that sort of thing. So I got to do that during Halloween. I watched a couple of Halloween movies while I was answering the door for trick-or-treaters. And it was a lot of fun. And we've got a love seat because what do you watch? A romantic Christmas movie on with your snuggle buddy, but a love seat. That is 5272. And while I may not have a snuggle buddy, that doesn't mean that I can't love it for those of you who do. And then 5273, that's the last one, and it's just holly charms, which don't necessarily have to go along with the movie night theme, but they do go along with the Christmas theme, which most of this is. Those are some really cute holly charms. All right, so we've got all of our charms right there in the front and center. All right, let's go through the rest of these. I don't have a list for the rest of these, but we should be able to pull them out and maybe they're labeled. Let's find out. I'm going to start with the 'Tis the Season Glass and Crystal Strand Mix. This does not have a list on it, but that's okay because, you know, I think some of these, they still had extras of them and they just went up on the site. So even though I don't have a name and it's not on the packing list, we can still take a look at what we've got for these crystal strand beads. Looks like we've got some champagne-y kind of colors with a bit of a luster finish. We have some minty green color. We've got some opaque white, some opaque red, and then some crystally Kelly green beads. So that is a very Christmas color bead strand. And I'm going to go ahead and get this unstrung into one of the sections on this. It looks like this is a very generous strand. That's going to be about 15 to 16 inches there. Probably closer to 16 inches. And these look like they are 3x5 millimeter, or is it 4x5 millimeter crystal rondelles. Now the question is, do I keep this bead mix all separate, or do I maybe pull out this one and do some sorting so that they can be together? Let's take a look at these little pearls before I do that. These are some glass pearls. This is another about 15-inch strand. And for this, we've got some white, red, and green pearls all on this strand. I'm going to move this to the side because I think I might want to sort these beads and add this because it looks like it's the same bead strand, or if not the same, close enough. And that way we can get different colors in different sections. I'm just gonna get, ooh, these are not glass. They are, it looks like they're acrylic. see. Not glass. That's okay though. That is perfectly fine. Especially if you're doing something like something you're only going to wear seasonally, or if you're going to use it in a ornament or something like that. Or if you're going to do something where you're going to use all of them all at once on something and make some earrings with lots and lots of beads, it would keep it from being too heavy. Or might make really great gifts for maybe young kids or something, maybe a stretch bracelet, as long as they are old enough that they're not going to choke on the beads if the stretch bracelet came undone. All right, so we've got those guys sorted, and that was the bead strand mix. I'm moving this to the side because I want to get into this and see if these are the same beads or not. I know this bead mix is different beads, but this might be the same strand. And if so, I'm going to mix them together. That's the Cozy Christmas Bead and Pendant Mix. So this one seems to be exactly the same beads. So it looks like if you got both of these, then you got twice the amount of beads. And because there are so many of them, they're not all going to fit in one section. So I may as well sort them by color, which is something that I enjoy doing. If you want to skip ahead past the sorting point, you can, and just get to the reveal of the next one. However, this is how I play with beads. I do sorting, I do organizing, and I make things with them. Go. It shouldn't take too long. I sort of do it one color at a time when I do it. This is such a gorgeous, bright, vibrant red. I love it. Absolutely love it. It is a perfect Christmassy red. And there is a beading wire color that Soft Flex doesn't make anymore, but I bought a whole bunch of it when I could find it, and I've been hoarding it, but I like to bring it out around this time of year, and that is this red coral color. It is perfect, perfect red. Kind of love that we get these like this minty green color as well as the other more traditionally Christmassy colors. It and the champagne-y brown color. I love how that just adds a little bit of an essence to it. It goes really well with some of these other things that's in this little bundle, which I'm going to show you in a minute, which I'm very excited about. because I love them. I think they're super cute. And if you've already got this bundle, you probably know what I'm talking about. None of these things should be a surprise. They were all in photos of what was in it on the website before purchase. So we're not spoiling anybody for these. All right, last two. This works for smaller beads too, guys. Using the scoop to move them around. There we go. Sorted. Let's get these guys put away in some sections. Tell me why I am not good at this. It's okay. All right. So yeah, the rest of the things in the Cozy Christmas bead and pendant mix include these gingerbread guys. I love the gingerbread guys. Oh, I love the gingerbread guys. They are so super stinking cute. Look at these guys. There are 6 of them in here. They don't have a product label, but if there are any extras, they will absolutely be available at the Bead Box Bargains website. And do you see how I mean? How they go really well with that color of bead too. And then we've got these wreaths where we're going to pull more of that mint green color. And I'm going to add this to my charm bucket as soon as we take a good look at these Christmas wreaths. I love enameled wreaths, or enameled charms. You are too full. How about if you hang out with those guys then? Because I am going to need all of this other space for the rest of this bundle. This one's the bigger one. Looks like we have a pretty big bead mix here with some larger rondelles, smaller rounds, and all sorts of delicious AB finish crystals in just 3 colors. We've also got this little wreath pendant slash charm with a bow. Aha. So that bow is going to hold that up there. That's adorable, actually. Love that. So it's already got a connector on it. Some rondelles, bicones, and it is wire wrapped around. It's wrapped just a little too far. There we go. I'm going to stick that in there. We'll probably put these trees in there too. These trees are... Oh, I can see how they did this. So It's got a little head pin with a rondelle and a square, and then it looks like they just did a whole bunch of head pins with these bicones and then stacked them up along the head pins, and then up here at the top they wrapped some other bicones together and then added another bicone here at the top of the head pin. So that's clever and cute. Love these. All you need to do really is add those to a couple of ear wires and you've got ready built Christmas earrings. All right, let's take a look at this bead mix. We have 3 different colors, and it's like a couple of different sizes, several sizes. Or is it just 2 sizes? It's hard to tell. Let's see, big, medium, and little. Big, medium, and little. Big, medium, and little. Which means we've got the perfect guys for making snowmans. Snowmans? Oh boy. Okay, let's sort. Are you ready? I'm gonna move this out of the way a little bit. So I've got some extra room. Let's start with green. And I'm just gonna do it by color. I don't think I'm gonna sort the sizes, although I could, theoretically. But again, if you want to skip past the sorting, please feel free to fast forward. You do not have to sit with me while I do this, but it is something that I enjoy doing. And I know that a lot of our viewers like to just hang out with me while I'm making things or while I'm unboxing things, and not necessarily needing me to move on to the next thing right away. But if you do need to move on, you please feel free. I'm not going to stop you. Sometimes I personally can get a little impatient and be like, well, no, get to the next thing, get to the next thing, get to the next thing. And I think that's why it was so surprising to me when I had viewers who were letting me know that they didn't mind me taking the slow route to get to where I was going. And so that was really nice for me to know, so that I could just relax and make some things on camera and know that people were going to enjoy it regardless of how fast I was or not. Do you like to sort your bead mixes, or do you like to keep them all mixed up when you put them in your organizers or your containers? What is your preferred method when you get a bead mix like this that is just so many beads that it definitely won't fit in one section? It just makes sense to split it up by color, right? But it would also make sense to split it up by size, because they are different size beads. It looks like these tiny ones are like 3mm, They feel like 3mm beads. Big ones are about 8, maybe. I could go grab my calipers and find out if you'd like me to, since these aren't listed on. All right, so the big guys, it looks like 7.5, 6.5 by 7.5. And I need to change the battery on this thing. The mediums are 5 by 6. There you go, 5 by 6. And the small ones are, those small ones are 3.5 by 4. Sorry about that cutting out. But yep, here we go. Almost got all my greens. And what I might do is just sort out the large greens and then put the medium and smalls together in their own section. Then we can do the others. And I know you might be getting impatient to get to the other bundles, but I'm going to put some chapters in my video so you can skip ahead if you want. I am happy for all of my friends who like to just spend some time with me though, and instead all right. So it's easy enough to pick out just the big ones once it's spread out a little bit like that. It's almost the same color of green. These ones don't have the AB finish on it though. That's a big difference. Makes the screen feel a little bit lighter. But yeah, this is a lot of beads for one little bundle. Oh my goodness. Am I going to be able to fit all of these large beads in the same section? Oh dear. Let's see. That's a lot. That's a lot of those beads. And here's our medium and small ones. Let's stick them in here. What I can do, if this should just make it easier when I'm doing my designing and figuring out which things to go through. It'll make it easier for me to get to the smaller beads if they're not also crowded out with these. But I have a few too many, I think, in here. So I'm just going to pop them down in here. There we go. Yep, that'll still close. So there's my green sorted. Let's do our white ones. They're not really white. They are clear. Clear crystals. We're going to be looking at some clear crystal with AB finish in a little more depth when we open up our snowman bundle. I know there's part of me that's just not ready to do Christmas designs when we haven't even had Thanksgiving in the US yet. Which, if you're outside of the US, it's usually how it goes is Halloween and then Thanksgiving and then Christmas. And sometimes it feels weird to start working on one while you're still waiting to celebrate the other. But sometimes it's fun to let all of those seasonal holidays blend together a little bit more. You're celebrating the end of harvest season. You're consuming calories to last through the winter. The fun thing about when you've just got two colors left is that you're basically sorting both of them out at the same time. Because you're not just separating one away from the group, you're separating them each away from each other. I feel like this is a fancy red. It's definitely a party red with that AB finish on it. All right, here we go. And there we go. Well, that was fun. I got up, I stopped recording in order to go take care of some noise, and then I came back, finished up unboxing this, unboxed the other bundle, and when I was finished with that, I discovered that it hadn't been recording. So I'm just going to start over again. I put everything back in its bags, so we'll record that part again. But I'm sorry, you did miss me scooping my other crystal beads into their sections for these bundles. Now, these 4 bundles, they were, you know, once again, the movie night bundle. Then we had let me get the actual names because I've already done this. I forgot. So there was the Christmas Movie Night Charm Bundle, the Cozy Christmas Bead and Pendant Mix, the Deck the Halls Crystal and Pendant Mix. That's this one here with these guys and those. And then there was also, what was that last one? the 'Tis the Season glass and crystal mix. And so 2 of the mixes had the same strands, so we went ahead and sorted those together. And then the other mix had the just a giant crystal mix in it, which is going to be fantastic and exactly what you want if you're going to be doing a lot of bead stringing with these colors. So I'm going to close this up, move it out of the way, and let's go ahead and open up the Snow Angel bundle and get it organized in here. And if you stick around till after this, I am going to make something with it. At least I hadn't gotten to the part where I was making something when I realized that I wasn't recording. So I already unstranded or unstrung a lot of these. They are labeled, so we'll go through them, but just imagine that it's on that pesky wire or something like that when I'm pulling it out of here. Just pretend. It'll be fine, I swear. It will make it a little bit easier and quicker for me to put it away in here though, since I don't have to mess with the stringing materials. So the first is a 10-inch strand of 8mm faceted crystal round beads in crystal AB. And the faceting on these ones are like that star cut, which is one of my favorites. I love English cut, I love star cut, I love so many of these, but that is our crystal AB 10mm round. I'm gonna go ahead and stick it right in there. All right, and then we've got some crystal AB rounds. It says 15 inches on here, but it's more like an 8-inch strand on this. They are 6x5mm rondelles. And they have more traditional faceting on them. They are still quite sparkly, but yeah, it's not 15 inches. Unless some of y'all got 15 inches and I just got the smallest strand possible. It's fine. It's fine. All right. This is what happens when I do things over again. I get silly the second time. Then I have 4mm faceted crystal bell beads in crystal AB. This was about a 7.5 to 8-inch strand as well, even though that is not listed on there. But these bell beads have a gumdrop shape. This side is not quite concave, it is flat, and then you've got like the pointier, rounded, narrower end. Yeah. Fantastic, fantastic shape. Alright, then we've got some snowflake spacer beads. They are lead-free, nickel-free, and cadmium-free. And I did actually do some nickel testing on these metals as part of my unboxing, so y'all kind of missed that too. But I can say that those passed the nickel-free test, so that labeling is accurate. Then we've got some hematite man-made plated snowflake beads. They are 6.5 inches of this, and they are 6x7mm, and these are super cute. I love these. I'll put them over here. And then we've got some stainless steel snowflake earrings with sterling silver pins. And while I was doing my unboxing, went ahead and grabbed some silicone earbacks to add to them. So that's why I have them and you may not, because I added them myself. We're going to go ahead and put them in there. Ooh, the Mystic Quartz. They are plated chunky beads. They are these fantastic pillar beads that look like chunks of broken icicle. I love them. I'm going to put them up there. And then we've got some 4mm quartz crystal faceted cubes. There's 7 inches of this. I did not unstring this because I wanted to keep it on its strand to make it easier when I was doing some designing with this. Then we've got our 16mm quartz crystal snowflake beads. And I really can't remember if I mentioned that Jenny and I are going to be using this bundle or this bundle, either or, during our live on Friday night. If I mentioned it during the time that I thought I was recording, I wasn't. So if I'm repeating myself, I apologize. But I love these snowflake beads. You can actually see the relief of that carve on there. And the hole goes through top to bottom, coin bead style. Go ahead and stick them right there. And then we've got some 10mm star patterned white and silver beads. These are very subtle design with that star pattern coming through. You can see that when they turn on their side. There are 10 of those. So we are filling up our organizer there. And then we've got a brass and cubic zirconia snowflake link, 26.5 by 19mm. And Jenny, if you're wondering, I did do a nickel test on this, and there was 0 nickel react. And I love that this is curved because this is going to be such a perfect link to use in a bracelet design. In fact, when I am done unboxing, I'm going to be making a bracelet with this. I already decided that that is what I am doing. Now these angel wing toggle clasps, there are 12 by 18mm. They are lead free and cadmium free, but I did do some nickel testing and they are not nickel free. There was a slight pink tinge to the Q-tip I was using, so it did react to the nickel content of these toggle clasps. So Jenny, this is not for you. I don't have the same metal allergy, so I'm going to go ahead and put that in there. And I also tested the metal on this strand. This is the cut glass crystal and metal angel bead strand. And I thought about pulling out all of the separate pieces, but I kind of like it strung up like this, so I'm just going to put it in my organizer just as it is. I want to do a little close-up so you can see all of the different components of this, where you've got your large crystal drop, or cut glass drop. You've got your angel wings, and I did nickel test these, Jenny, and there was 0 nickel react. And then we've got some rondelles and these teeny tiny daisy spacers for halos on our angel strand. I'm going to put that there. You can always add to collections like this. Like I've got some extra spaces here. I could dig through my stash and find some things that would fit in with this sort of thing, like maybe this strand of just glass beads. That might work. Or if I've got more crystal AB beads out there, maybe that would work to add to this, just to round things out a little bit more. But before I do anything else or start adding other things for my stash to this collection, I am going to make myself a little bracelet. So let's grab some white quartz beading wire. My focal and some crystal beads. I want to use the crystal ones. Let's do 1, 2, 3 on each side of the big crystal beads. A couple of snowflakes. Along there, because it's going to be sort of like that. I think I might need a couple more. We're just going for simple. let's go ahead and add some of these smaller beads in here. And I think the way I want to string this is going to be with the wider end of these smaller beads pressed up against my larger beads like this. Yeah. And then like this. Beautiful. This will be a fun, sparkly, wintry shape. Just like with fall, mostly winter exists in my brain since I live in Texas. But that doesn't mean that I can't enjoy a little bit of wintry landscapey sort of goodness. Like this. So that is going to be 1/2. And then we'll need to connect that here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to give myself enough room that if I need to make this longer, I can. And also have room for crimping. And snip that off on the other end as well. Use these bead stoppers just to keep this from, if I accidentally grab it, flying around. I'm going to string the other side now. I do need more of my small beads. Okay. Look how pretty that looks. I love it. Love it. So yeah, we're just going to do 2 sides of the thing. I believe in my order, Jenny did a haul. She ordered a lot of findings and things in Jenny's haul. If you haven't seen it, I will link to it in the description below. I did get a few things myself, but I didn't want to do a haul. I just wanted to unbox my my bundles with y'all. But I think I got a clasp or 2 in here. I don't know if I want to use the angel wing clasps that came in the box. Maybe, maybe not. I'm not a big fan of toggle clasps on bracelets. They always seem to undo themselves on me, and it can be a little frustrating. I like secure clasps like lobsters, or sometimes magnetic clasps, or things with loops that you put things around. Alright, perfect, perfect, perfect. Let me grab some crimps and my crimper so we can get these guys connected. Crimps and a crimper. I know I have crimps around here somewhere. There they are. And this is my crimper. I prefer magical crimper. It's my favorite way of crimping. And to do that, I use 2x2 crimp tubes. It's the only crimp tube that actually will work with this. And this is the perfect wire for it. It's just the right size, and it has the right depth of the nylon coating on the outside of the stainless steel core for the beading wire. One of the reasons I like using this style of crimp is because I don't need to use crimp covers. When you put this on, it will go from this cylinder into a bead after you've crimped it. So put it on here, go through my finding, bend my wire back, and get that. There we go. So now that I've got that bent back through my crimp bead, my crimp tube, I can center that crimp tube in this concavity for my crimper, and then give it a little smush, and it clamps down on just the corners of that crimp tube. So then we go at a different angle, and then turn it and go at a whole other angle, and just keep going around, hitting it from all of those different angles, giving it a smush each time. Make sure it is centered. And as you do that, it smooths out all of those sharp and rough edges and leaves you a nice little ball of crimp. All right. Now I'm just gonna see how far along this is. Oh, that's probably too much. Probably could end here. So I'm going to actually crimp the other end of this to here and double check that length with both ends attached. We're going to be doing the exact same crimping on this side as the other. And go. Okay. So this is crossing over, which means it will be extremely loose if I crimp it there. So if I take off this end, and that will leave me some room for a clasp. If I also remove the same amount of beads from the other side, it will be there and there. Maybe a larger clasp. Or maybe we can close that gap by leaving this guy on here. Let's see. That's turned around the opposite way. Yeah, that should be enough space because there's going to need to be jump rings and clasps. So if I just take off that bit, that's going to give me a good size for my bracelet. What am I doing? I'm going to make a little loop on each end that I can then use some jump rings to attach a clasp to. Okay. Sometimes you can fit the wire through the hole of the bead on the end. Sometimes you can't. It's totally okay if you can't. That's what you can do is make a little loop. And then I like to make sure there's a little bit of space, just a little bit of space with my fingernail between the crimp and the bead next to it so that I can center the crimp tube in my crimper. And not have it go all funky on me. I love it. Okay, let's do another one over here. You know what? I am going to go ahead and use these just because. If I decide that I don't like them after I've made it, I can always remove those, that clasp, because I'm going to be attaching it with jump rings. That gives me permission to change my mind later about my clasp if I use those. All right, friends. Now that I've got that, let's attach our clasp. Oh, Ellen, you are okay. Got some 5mm jump rings here. I'm going to grab some tools for that. I'm going to use two different pliers for that. You could also, instead of a second set of pliers, just use the end of your crimper. It can hold the jump ring steady while you are twisting it open, like that. And then you can add your clasp. So these have a right side and a wrong side to them. So I might want to pay attention to how I add the second one. so that it shows up right. Looks like it's going to be that way. All right. Let's just check this out. Let's see if that'll hold. And there we go, that fits perfectly, and it is so sparkly and wintry. I love that for us, guys. All right, let me take this off. Put these guys away. Back in here. Like I said, you can always add more to this box. How am I going to do that? Like that. You can always add more to this box later because it's just beads for the stash. But they are a really beautiful collection. And then there was also this bundle. It's kind of fun that we got two different sort of vibes. We had the festive, Christmassy vibes, and then we have our wintry vibes from Beadbox Bargains. If you are not a subscriber to Bargain Beadbox and you want to be, go ahead and check the link in the description below. There is also a coupon code you can use. We'll get you a discount off of your first month subscription. It is one of the best value for money bead boxes out there. I enjoy it every single month, and you get that 30% off coupon that you can use at the Beadbox Bargain site to get deals on things like this. Until next time, my friends, happy beading.